A frozen hand still grips the flagpole. The fingers won't bend anymore. Hasn't moved in 3 days. February 1943, somewhere near Demyansk, and the Soviet rifleman has to break 2 of the Germans' fingers to yank the banner free. Black fabric, white skull, crossbones underneath. The soldier knows what this means. He's seen the reports. He's heard the stories from the villages. These aren't soldiers. These are the ones who burn families alive, who laugh while they do it. He stuffs the flag in his pack. Command needs to see this. The skull stares at him from the frozen fabric. He realizes something that makes his hands shake. He's holding proof that the devil wears a German uniform. 1939. Theodore Eicke runs Dachau concentration camp. He's good at his job, too good. The prisoners fear him. The guards worship him. He's built a system where cruelty is currency and compassion is treason. Then Hitler calls him to Berlin. The Führer has a problem. Regular soldiers hesitate. Regular soldiers question orders when told to shoot civilians. Regular soldiers feel guilt. Hitler needs men who don't feel anything. Eicke nods. He knows exactly where to find them. Eicke returns to Dachau and begins handpicking. Not just any guards, the special ones. The man who beats prisoners unconscious before breakfast and eats lunch without washing the blood off his hands. The guard who volunteers for executions. The one who smiles during roll call when prisoners collapse. 6,500 men. Every single one has worked in concentration camps. Every single one knows how to kill a person while looking them in the eye. Now Eicke gives them tanks, gives them artillery, gives them the skull and crossbones insignia, the Totenkopf, the death's head. Other Wehrmacht officers see these men coming and cross to the other side of the street. Something's different about them. Something's wrong. One panzer commander writes in his journal, "The SS men don't take prisoners. They shoot the wounded. Even we fear them." Poland, September 1939. The world learns what Eicke has created. In Warsaw, the Totenkopf finds a village outside the city. Families hide in barns, thinking walls will protect them. The SS locks the doors from the outside. Someone produces gasoline. They pour it through the cracks in the wood. Someone else produces matches. The screaming lasts 20 minutes. The soldiers wait until it stops. In Kursk, 300 civilians line up against a wall. They don't know why. They haven't done anything. Machine guns open fire. Bodies pile on top of bodies. Jan Kowalski is 17. The bullet that hits him goes through his shoulder and kills the man behind him. Kowalski falls into the pile. He plays dead. For 6 hours, he lies under corpses, while blood seeps through his clothes. He hears the soldiers above him. They're laughing. They're singing marching songs. Between the bodies, he sees their boots walking past. This isn't war. This is entertainment. Franz Kuhner keeps a diary. It survives the war, hidden in his sister's attic. November 1939. Entry. Today we cleaned a Polish village. 47 people. The priest begged on his knees. I shot him in the church. His congregation too. 23 more. Germany needs this land empty. By 1940, every army in Europe knows the skull insignia. Allied intelligence files grow thick with reports. Massacres, executions, burned villages. The Totenkopf division has killed thousands of civilians, but they've never fought actual soldiers. They've never faced an enemy that shoots back with artillery and tanks. That's about to change. June 22nd, 1941. 3 million German soldiers cross into the Soviet Union. The Totenkopf leads the advance. New orders arrive from Berlin. The Commissar order. Kill every Soviet political officer. Kill every Communist Party member. Kill every Jew in every village. Make the population understand that resistance means death. In Brest, they execute 200 Soviet officials in the town square. The families watch. The Totenkopf wants them to watch. In Minsk, the Jewish quarter burns. 3,000 people die in one day. The soldiers photograph everything. Near Lviv, September 1941, 200 Soviet soldiers surrender. They drop their rifles. They raise their hands. The Totenkopf lines them up beside a ditch, then opens fire with machine guns. Dmitry Petrov watches from the woods. He's wounded, hiding behind a fallen tree. They weren't soldiers, he testifies later. Soldiers take prisoners. These were executioners in uniform. They shot my friends like dogs in a pit. Some were still moving. The SS walked through the ditch, shooting heads one by one. Babi Yar, outside Kiev, September 29-30, 1941. The Totenkopf helps murder 33,771 Jews in 48 hours. Men first, then women, then children, then babies. The SS makes them strip naked, stand at the ravine edge, then machine guns them into the pit. Layer after layer of bodies. Some victims are still alive when the next layer falls on top of them. The earth moves for days afterward as people suffocate in the mass grave. But Moscow is watching. The NKVD, Stalin's secret police, keeps lists. Every massacre, every burned village, every murdered prisoner. They write down names. They sketch the skull insignia. They mark map coordinates. Special files marked no quarter. Soviet agent Pavel Sudoplatov infiltrates behind German lines. His reports to Moscow are precise. The Totenkopf division identified by death's head insignia. Current location, Sector 7. Documented crimes, mass murder of civilians, execution of prisoners, destruction of 17 villages. Recommendation, systematic elimination when encountered, no surrender accepted. Winter 1941 arrives early, -40 degrees. The Totenkopf digs in, confident. They control vast territories. They've killed thousands. Victory seems inevitable. They don't know the Red Army has regrouped. More importantly, every Soviet soldier now knows exactly who they're fighting. The stories spread through the ranks, the death camp guards, the baby killers, the ones with skulls on their helmets. Mikhail Vulov is a Soviet lieutenant. His brother was shot at Lviv. He writes to his wife, "I've seen their insignia, the skull. When I see it, I don't see soldiers. I see murderers in uniform. We will give them exactly what they gave us. Nothing." January 8, 1942. Soviet forces surround 100,000 Germans near Demyansk. The Totenkopf division is trapped inside. Soviet intelligence knows exactly where the SS units are positioned. Artillery officers receive specific orders. Priority targets, positions marked with death's head insignia. Continuous bombardment, no ceasefire for medical evacuation. For 105 days, shells fall on Totenkopf positions every hour. Soviet snipers receive bounties for SS insignia. Bring back a death's head helmet badge. Extra. Vodka rations. Bring back SS collar tabs. Leave to visit family. The temperature hits -45. German supply planes can't land. The Totenkopf eats their horses, then their dogs, then leather boots. Men's feet turn black with frostbite. Doctors amputate with hacksaws. No anesthetic. The screaming echoes across frozen fields. Heinrich Föhler serves in the division. He survives. Years later, he writes, "The Russians knew who we were. Our wounded disappeared. Other units arranged prisoner exchanges. Not us. If you wore the death's head, you died. No exceptions, no mercy." Ivan Petrov is a Soviet sniper in the pocket. He has 31 confirmed kills, all SS. "Each bullet was payback," he writes. "My village was burned by the SS. My parents died in their house. Every dead Totenkopf man was justice." By May 1942, when the pocket finally breaks, the Totenkopf has lost 7,000 men, over half their strength. The survivors look like skeletons, their proud black uniforms, hang in rags. But the division receives reinforcements, fresh recruits who've never seen a concentration camp. These new men think they can escape the division's reputation. They're wrong. The Soviets remember everything. Red Army units begin finding Totenkopf prisoners shot in the back of the head, not in combat, deliberately executed after capture. Soviet commanders look the other way. Some encourage it. General Vatutin tells his men, "The SS are not soldiers. They're war criminals in uniform. Treat them accordingly." July 5, 1943. Hitler launches Operation Citadel. The Totenkopf will spearhead the southern attack. They have 140 tanks, including massive Tigers. They think they're unstoppable. The Soviets are ready. They know the attack is coming. More importantly, they know exactly where the Totenkopf will strike. Soviet intelligence has tracked every SS unit for months. Marshal Zhukov gives specific orders. The SS Totenkopf will attack at Prokhorovka. Concentrate. All available artillery on grid 237. When they advance, destroy them completely. July 12th. The trap springs. Totenkopf tanks roll forward into the greatest tank battle in history. But this isn't random combat. The Soviets have marked every SS tank as priority target. Sergeant Mikhail Petrov commands a T-34. He sees the Death's Head painted on a Tiger tank's turret. "That skull made my blood burn," he writes. "My gunner put 3 shells into it. It burned for hours. We could hear the crew screaming inside. We didn't help." In 3 days, the Totenkopf loses 70 tanks. Half their armor gone. 4,000 men dead or wounded. The division's attack collapses. Soviet artillery captain Yuri Bondarev watches through binoculars. "We could see the SS retreating, abandoning their wounded. We kept firing. No mercy for the merciless." German radio intercepts tell the story. One Totenkopf officer transmits, "Under concentrated attack. They know exactly where we are." Request: immediate withdrawal. Response: negative, hold position. Final transmission: position overrun. A captured Totenkopf sergeant tells interrogators, "You targeted us specifically. Regular army units beside us took normal fire. We got everything you had. You wanted us dead." The interrogator replies, "We know what you did in the occupied territories. Every village, every mass grave. Yes, we wanted you dead." After Kursk, the Totenkopf never attacks again, only retreats. The hunters have become the hunted. The Red Army chases them all the way to Berlin. August 1943. The Totenkopf runs west through Ukraine. The same roads they conquered in 1941. The same villages they burned. But now Soviet tanks chase them. Every mile of retreat is paid in blood. The Red Army finds mass graves everywhere. Katyn Forest, 4,000 Polish officers shot in the head. Vinnytsia, 9,000 Ukrainian civilians in burial pits. Each discovery makes Soviet soldiers angrier. Captain Viktor Subotin's unit liberates a village near Kharkov. They find 300 bodies in a well, women and children. Subotin gathers his men. "The SS did this. The ones with the skull badges. From now on, take no SS prisoners. That's an order." January 1944. Korsun pocket. Another trap. The Totenkopf is surrounded again with 60,000 other Germans. Soviet loudspeakers broadcast day and night. "Wehrmacht soldiers, you can surrender. SS soldiers, you will die." For 2 weeks, Soviet artillery turns the pocket into mud and blood. When German units try to break out, the Soviets let regular army troops through. Then they close the gap when SS units approach. February 17th, the pocket collapses. Soviet troops find 800 Totenkopf soldiers who surrendered. By morning, all 800 are dead, shot in the head. Their death's head badges cut from uniforms as trophies. Hans Müller, a Wehrmacht officer, witnesses the aftermath. "The Russians separated SS from regular army. We were sent to prison camps. The SS were marched into the forest. We heard machine guns. They never came back. The division keeps retreating. Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia. At each border, they leave equipment. Tanks out of fuel, artillery without shells, men without hope." By December 1944, only 4,000 Totenkopf soldiers remain from 20,000. They've lost 80% of their men. The skull on their helmets is now a death sentence. Soviet troops spot that insignia and call in artillery strikes just to kill a single SS man. Private Wilhelm Hoffmann writes his last letter home. "The Russians know our every position. Partisans report our movements. We can't even bury our dead. The death's head means nothing now except our own death coming. December 1944. The last organized Totenkopf units are trapped in Budapest. Stalin orders the city taken at any cost. He gives special instructions. The SS Totenkopf is in the city. Ensure none escape. For 50 days, Soviet artillery turns Budapest to rubble. They aim specifically at buildings where SS units shelter. Soviet loudspeakers broadcast the crimes of the Totenkopf in German. You burned our villages. You shot our prisoners. You murdered our children. Now you will pay. Inside the siege, Totenkopf soldiers starve. They eat rats. They drink water from radiators. Frostbite takes fingers and toes. Medical supplies run out. Men die from infected wounds. Corporal Ernst Wagner keeps a diary. The Russians won't accept our surrender. Other units can give up. We can't. They see our insignia and shoot. We're already dead. We just haven't stopped moving yet. February 13th, 1945. Budapest falls. Of 1,000 Totenkopf soldiers in the city, fewer than 30 escape. The rest die fighting or are executed after capture. The survivors flee west toward Austria. They burn their SS papers, tear off their insignia. Some steal Wehrmacht uniforms from dead soldiers, anything to hide who they were. But Soviet intelligence tracks them. Partisan networks report every SS movement. Radio Moscow announces, "The criminals of the Totenkopf division cannot hide. We know their names. We know their faces." April 1945. The final 500 Totenkopf soldiers make their last stand near Vienna. Soviet forces surround them. No escape. The commanding officer, Helmuth Becker, has two choices: surrender to the Soviets and face certain execution, or fight to the death. He chooses a third option. On May 8, 1945, Becker leads his men west and surrenders to American forces. He knows the Americans will put him in prison. The Soviets would put him in a grave. Even then, it isn't over. Soviet authorities demand the Americans hand over all SS prisoners. Some are transferred. Those men disappear into Soviet camps. Few return. The 3rd SS Panzer Division Totenkopf started with 40,000 men. Fewer than 1,000 survived Soviet captivity. 97% death rate, the highest of any German division. They thought the skull on their helmets made them frightening. It did. It also marked them for death. Every Soviet soldier could identify that insignia. Every partisan could report their position. Every artillery observer could call in strikes. Theodore Eicke, who created the division, died in 1943 when Soviet fighters shot down his plane. They found his body with the death's head insignia still pinned to his collar. They left it to rot. Hermann Priess, a division commander, was captured by Americans, tried for war crimes, sentenced to 20 years. Soviet authorities protested. They wanted him hanged. The survivors who made it home never talked about their service. They hid their tattoos, burned their photos, changed their names. They knew that somewhere Soviet intelligence kept lists. In 1965, 20 years after the war ended, former Totenkopf soldier Johann Neumann was found dead in Argentina. Shot in the head, execution style. Local police found Soviet currency in the killer's abandoned car. The death's head insignia they wore so proudly became their curse. It marked them as Hitler's most fanatical soldiers. It also marked them for systematic annihilation by an enemy that never forgot. The Soviets turned the hunters into the hunted. They used the Totenkopf's own methods: brutality, no mercy, complete destruction. The skull and crossbones was supposed to terrify their enemies. That frozen hand near Demyansk still grips the flagpole. The fingers never bent again. If you found this history compelling, hit subscribe for more World War II deep dives every week. Thanks for watching.